Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm Joyce Danger, and this is my friend Carolyn Thompson, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about staying focused. And I don't know if you ever struggle with that, but I think we all kind of struggle with staying focused a little bit, and it is one of the success traits that people who move forward are able to keep their eye on the ball and do what they need to do. So, first thing I wanted to talk about is Mary Kay always says that we want to focus on our faith first, family second, career third. And sometimes we use that as our reason to move forward, and sometimes we kind of use that as an excuse. And I wanted to ask you to share a little bit about how you've been able to separate when it's the reason or if it's an excuse, and how would you decide if you were, and I know you've been in a number of situations with family crises and things like that where you had to either decide to go or not go, and how do you make that decision in those tough times?
You know, I think the bottom line sometimes in deciding what we need to do with our business. For example, when I started, my reason for my Mary Kay business was so that I can match my teaching income and be home with my children. So whenever I held a beauty party, and my goal was 2 a week, it wasn't always easy to go. But I knew that by doing that, I would reach that goal. And then, as time went on, I didn't realize it, but my husband would be diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and there were times when I would have to go, and sometimes on a road trip when he wasn't well. And that was a hard thing to do, because that was back in the days when we didn't always have cell phones, or I'd have to get to my hotel and call him, or wherever if I was staying with the beauty consultant. And there were times even at seminar when he wasn't well when I left, and I would have to make that decision to go or stay home. And the bottom line there was, would my family be better off in the long haul because I'm making this trip? Is my Mary Kay business going to benefit because my family is the beneficiaries? So that was kind of my bottom line in deciding. And then there have been other times when I've had to decide to stay home. And luckily, because of those times when I did go, I have more options today to stay home, because I just had to miss seminar this year. And I was so glad that I did. It was a good decision. And I thought back to all those other times when I had to make the decision maybe to go instead of staying home. And it takes a certain amount of toughness and vision to make those decisions. But bottom line is, my income supports our family, so I had to think of it that way.
Yeah, and you never would have known that. I mean, we look at life and we can say now, I can look back at, and Carolyn's been a great example for me, looking back at your life and seeing that the choice that you made to be home with your children when they were little, and that was what your goal was, has now provided you the lifestyle to be able to provide for yourself and for your husband, because he's been off work for I don't know how many years, but you've been the sole support of your family for a long, long time, and
Yeah.
Mary Kay has provided a very nice income for you because of the choices that you made when your children were little.
You know, when I started Mary Kay, one of my goals was, and I remember Chuck and I talking about this, for him to be able to leave his high-pressure sales job. Be careful what you pray for.
Whoa.
But in all actuality, I believe what Mary Kay used to tell us, that God has a plan for our life, and that Mary Kay crosses our life for a reason. And I'm so glad that we have the directive we did. Back when I came into Mary Kay, everybody came in to work. We all came in for the opportunity to make money and build this as a business. And I'm so grateful that Mary Kay was there to show us that. And I see that tendency really coming back today. We heard that from seminar. Really, people are coming in and holding their appointments, 2 parties a week, 2 to 3. I'm hearing that a lot. Because we don't know what's going to come ahead of us in life. And I really believe that this was the plan, that Mary Kay would provide for our family and give my husband options. And not only that, but give him options in a way that doesn't make him feel bad. Because, in a lot of other jobs, when we're earning what we're earning, we would be out there earning that money and working 60 hours, 80 hours a week. And I'm very often done in the afternoon. We work and we get paid for work we did way back when. So my life today, I'm feeling really blessed that I can spend this time with my husband.
I think that's really cool, and you've been a great example and role model for me, so I appreciate that, Carolyn.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Thanks. I do want to talk a little bit about the segments of our, in planning our time and planning our goals, and if we can break it down. Sometimes it gets too big if we're looking at where I want to be, say, next year, or where I want to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now. I need to look at what I need to do today. And so looking at how do you kind of break all that down, or keep that focus on something that's small enough that you can see it rather than get
The bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Mary Kay was good about telling us to break our goals down into smaller goals. We've been talking about a number of goals we have. And so taking, say, a quarterly goal and breaking it down to what do you need to do each month, each week, and indeed each day. Even if it's as simple as making 5 phone calls that day, and having them be action-oriented, activity-oriented, rather than results-oriented, so that if you make those 5 calls, when your head hits the pillow at the end of the day, you can say, I did that. I made that effort in doing or meeting my goal. So just being able to break those goals down, I think, is an important part of getting where we need to be and not being overwhelmed all the time.
Mm-hmm. I think activity-based really makes a difference too. It's kind of like working out. You can't necessarily control if you're trying to fit into your skinny jeans or something like that. You can't control when exactly you're going to fit into the skinny jeans, but you can control if you're doing some sort of workout each day and how many minutes you're going to do that workout, or if you're sloughing off and you're I've been known to watch the exercise video thing, like lay on the floor and watch it, but not do anything because it's too hard and that doesn't really count. So kind of like looking at the phone doesn't count as making the attempt. Mm-hmm. So I know as a consultant we had like in a lot of our units we have monthly challenges, and so it might be to say, okay, whatever challenge my director gives me, even if I don't like whatever the challenge is, just that's a running path. Or each quarter the company gives us a challenge, and whether you like the prize or don't like the prize at the end of the quarter, I just want to get that little number thing each quarter that goes up another number, and to show that that I'm a star consultant. Or maybe you want to move up to a new level of the career path each quarter. I moved into become a sales director my first year in the business, and I think the reason that happened is because each quarter I wanted to be at the next level. So I wanted to be a red jacket, and then by the next quarter I wanted to be a team leader, was what we called it at that time, and then I wanted to be a future director, and then I wanted to be a director in qualification, and then a sales director was the next thing. So it was just each quarter a new title. Mm-hmm. And I think we had some kind of a training or something. I wanted to go to a new class. I don't know if I thought that they would teach the same old thing in the other class, but I wasn't going to find out. I just needed to go to the next one. And so sometimes having a path like that to run on is very helpful. And it's a decision that you make yourself, but I think we have to be able to back it up, and your director can help you to make sure that your daily efforts, that they match the ultimate goal that you want. Because sometimes we say, maybe I want to fit into my skinny jeans, but I really want to eat all these chips. And
it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
What's
no.
the problem?
But I do love that my friend Julie Nielsen says you can start a diet in the middle of a bag of chips, and I do remember that when I'm struggling with something. It's like, oh yeah, I could. I don't have to finish the bag. I could just put it away.
Okay.
So. The other thing we wanted to talk a little bit about is the concept of short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And I know you've had that with your life, and I don't know if there's any stories you wanted to share about how you manage that, like when your kids are little or anything like that.
Well, I will share this story, and I don't know if it's exactly the one, but my daughter, who lives in New York City, after 9/11, it was hard to get jobs. in Manhattan. Most of those jobs kind of dried up. And so she went for a year and a half without work. And she had to find a way to pay her bills. So she networked herself. And she would go and she would ask everybody, who do you know who can use what I do? And she found the most fascinating jobs. She got to edit a book and lay it out about the musical group The Monkees. And eventually somebody said, you know, I know somebody at Every Day with Rachel Ray magazine, and they're looking for people to do what you do. And that's how she got her job at Every Day with Rachel Ray magazine. And I think the idea of, you know, our kids watch us. Who do you know? Who do you know? And that's kind of how I was trained. Just ask everybody, who do you know who would like to look better? Who do you know who wants to be pampered? And I've forgotten the question. What are we talking about?
We're talking about short-term sacrifice for long-term gain.
So whenever I think of sacrifice and you know, just these kinds of things, Stephanie's story comes to mind because she really took something and she saw a long-range vision out there, but she was willing to do whatever it took to get there. Mm-hmm. And today she's got a job that she absolutely loves, but she still looks to do those extra little things just in case that can make her bigger and better. So I know you've got some ideas too on just, you know, how do you make it happen that way?
Yeah, well, and some of it, you begin with the end in mind, so you know where you want to go. And you can't see the picture of what your life is going to bring, but I look at the sacrifice that I made too years ago and how I get a kick out of my parents. My father thinks I'm with Mary Lou and doesn't really get what I do. My mom was no big deal to let me know that, you know, I'm not the makeup type, and she was not going to wear makeup, never was the makeup type, didn't understand what I did, or, you know, I think my husband is also self-employed, so I think they were still kind of wondering who was going to pay our mortgage and when we would be coming to somebody for money, because they couldn't see how we would make a living. But when they really needed our help, when my mom was older and she was struggling with you know, health issues and that sort of thing, because I had done what I needed to do when I needed to do it in Mary Kay, I was able to be there and to be the one to take her to the doctor's appointments, to find her, you know, to manage her care and to do what we needed to do in order to make the end of her life more comfortable. And because of the choices that I made with Mary Kay, it gave her choices at the end of her life, and I really appreciate that. Had I not made those sacrifices when I was younger, I would not have had the choice to be able to do what we did when she was, you know, when she really needed me. And in my family, we pay it forward. So I try to help, you know, my children in ways that I can help them. But yet my career is, you know, I still do my business appointments first, and then fit in, you know, taking care of the grandkids and that sort of thing like that too. So we kind of work together like that. But had it not been for Mary Kay and doing what I needed to do when I needed to do it, I wouldn't have had that luxury of continuing to have a very nice paycheck throughout that whole time. And we're not talking a couple of weeks, we're talking several years of health issues that you know, I was able to be there for.
Well, it does prove success has its rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me that almost all of us in Mary Kay are probably at some point in our lives going to be responsible for an aging parent or perhaps a relative. And it is nice remembering that we get paid again and again for work we've done in the past, so that we can be afforded the luxury of doing just what you did, of, you know, making maybe something else a higher priority just for a short time. And what a privilege to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We're lucky.
Right.
I just don't know how people do things like this, add on a responsibility of caring for an aging parent or another relative who have structured hours. We're very fortunate.
Yeah, we are very fortunate, and I appreciate that. We have one more topic, and I think we're out of time, so we'll put it on a separate video. So thanks for joining us, and we'll connect later.